Greetings, salutations, and welcome to SportsLook, the sports television program for the high plains of West Texas and eastern New Mexico. I'm your host, Doc Elder. It's May the 1st, and while it may be our last episode of the semester, we do not lack for things to talk about. We've got Strahinja Radakovic from the Greyhound Track and Field Squad. We also have Juan Carbajal and Josef Garcia from esports. I'll finish up with an overtime, but as always, I'll start out with an Eastern recap. Greyhound baseball needed to win 2 out of 4 games this weekend to go to the LSC playoffs. Unfortunately, they only won 1 out of 4, so their season is done. Greyhound softball needed to win all 4 of their games this weekend to go to the playoffs. Mission accomplished, so they are playing in Canyon, Texas. And Shacey Moore scored over 100 points all by herself at the Tarleton State Rodeo. That was good enough to give the Greyhounds a 4th place finish and was good enough to get Shacey Moore to the National College Finals Rodeo in both goat tying and barrel racing. Well, that will finish up an Eastern recap, so we'll clear this out and we'll bring in our first guest, Strahinja Radakovic, right now. Welcome back to SportsLook, and we bring to the set of SportsLook a young man from track and field at Eastern New Mexico University, Strahinja Radakovic. And Strahinja, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for calling me.
Well, Strahinja, where are you from, and what was the process that got you onto the team here at Eastern?
I'm from Serbia. That's a small country. Most people over here will know it by Nikola Jokic, the basketball player from Nuggets. And I'm from small town called Novi Sad, the second biggest town from my country, but compared to all towns over here, it's really small town. And how I came here is kind of like normal recruiting thing, just like people coming over here. I just need to hire the agency to find me all the best options based on my track result to came here to get the best options. I get few of them, but I think I choose this one because we have the best conference for competing, and it's one of the best places because Texas is right there, Arizona is right there, and the best track in Albuquerque is right there. So I choose the best place where I can grow as an athlete and of course as a student too.
Well, we've mentioned that you are a track and field athlete, and your specific event, you're a high hurdler.
Yeah, 110 hurdles, not more than that. 60 and 110, not 400. I couldn't do that. That's I don't know how people do that, but that's one of the hardest events which I ever saw that anyone is doing.
So how did you get associated with track and field back in Serbia?
That's kind of interesting story because over here we have the schools as a competing. Back in my hometown, we don't have that. We have track clubs, and if you don't go by yourself to want to participate in the track, you are not able to do that. So we have just one school competition, and I was in the middle school, I think. Yeah, I was in middle school, and at that point, my professor of physical education find out that I'm fast in our classes. So he's like, maybe we should try it. Maybe you're good. And we did 300 on a level of the town. I was the first of state. I was the first, and I was second in the whole country. So I was like, maybe if I'm this fast, maybe I should try it. And the story begins just from that. And after that, I find a coach, and everything goes by that.
Were your parents involved in track and field?
My parents don't have any contact with any sport. My grandfather, he had some contact with the sport. He was playing a soccer, and he was really good soccer player. And everyone in my family is saying that my sport, being good in sport, came from my grandpa.
So when you started competing, did you already know that you were pretty fast in comparison to your friends, or were you as surprised as anybody?
I was at that point, I was playing soccer, and I was being goalkeeper. So I didn't even know that I can run fast. I never even try. I like playing soccer with my friends, and I never use the speed as my as my weakness or whatever. I didn't know if I'm that good or no. So at that point, I just didn't know anything. My professor said, "Oh, you're playing soccer, so you should be able to do 300 meters for school." And I was like, "That's long. That's almost the whole lap." And now I'm the goalkeeper. I'm running around my square and I'm saving my goal, and that's it. And when that race starts, first 100 meters, I thought that everyone is jogging, that they are not running with full speed. So, but my professor, he's like, you should follow them because they're doing that sport. They know how you should run that event. And I was like, okay. And I followed them for 150 meters, and after that, I feel like that's really slow, really slow. And after that, I just started running by myself, and I finished the race like 30 plus meters before everyone else. And that happened in a town and in a state competition. So like a lot of kids are running the same way, and I didn't even notice the time that much faster before I even start doing that.
So talk about the moment that you started doing high hurdles. What did your professor just say that this was an event you should try, or was it something you wanted to do?
My professor, he was obsessed with me being decathlete because I was really tall, a really big kid, and I could do anything. I could do any event in school when it was based on a grade. I could do anything, and I was always the best one in school. And he was trying to convince me to do that. But my coach, my first coach, she first tried to put me in a long jump and a sprint because I was fast. So maybe I could imply that in a long jump. And after 1 or 2 years of doing track and field, I was really good in a long jump, and I was top 3 in the nation. So she found out that because I can jump and I am fast, that maybe I could do hurdles because her main event was hurdle. So my coach, she think that because she was doing that event, she could teach me the best that event because that's her main event through whole her life. So she knows more details about that than a long jump. So I just started doing that by my coach.
I coached track and field back in the day, so I have some familiarity with the hurdle events. And it occurred to me that when you run the 400 meters, there's a little bit of technique, but it's just basically stamina.
That's based on the speed.
Yeah. High hurdles, you obviously have to have technique. So did your original coach teach technique, or was there somebody further down the line that taught you?
My original coach, the first coach, she taught me most of the things which I know. And after I finished working with her, my next coach, Dushko, he taught me most things about technique, how I should approach to the hurdle, because at that point I was more mature and I realized those small details, how much they mean, what I should do over the hurdle, how I should imply that technique on the high hurdles, because until you turn 18, I think that like hurdles are really short, so most of the kids can run them. But he tried to teach me how to imply that technique on lower hurdles to be able to go to close to perfection on the high hurdles, and that really goes really well.
Obviously, the longer the distance, the less important it is how fast you come out of the blocks. But in something like the hurdles, getting off to a fast start is imperative. So who taught you how to come out of the blocks?
I think that coming out of the blocks is practically natural thing. You that's your instinct mostly. You just breathe in and wait just for the gun. You are not you if you think, you will react slow. That's just, I think that's pure reaction. And track athletes are athletes which are reacting the fastest compared to like Formula One drivers. They're reacting 0.01 slower than us. So mostly the track athletes are the best with the reaction because of the sound. And I think that besides your instinct, that weight room is really important because of explosiveness. If you do enough weight room, and my coach taught me how to do a lot of different things in the weight room, which we were implying through my whole career, and I could now lift more than 400 pounds from the squat, 315 in a power clean, and all those things are really important to imply that force through the block.
Of course, we would love to have you on because we like to talk to student athletes, but we're having you on at the time that we are because this weekend, Greyhound Track and Field gets to host the Lone Star Conference, and it's pretty cool to be able to have the whole conference at your stadium.
Yeah, I think that will be really nice because I practically know the stadium from the top to the bottom. I know every part of it, and I think running in the home meet sometimes can be bad because if you run too much, you can feel like it's training. But I think with a home crowd and with all things which I did through the whole year over here, that it will be really nice to compete over here with the best conference in Division Two. And besides that, I think that our team has to do really good because of the home crowd and everything.
So, when are the prelims for the 110 hurdles?
Hurdles will compete at Thursday and at the Saturday because competition is 3 days, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And my prelims, because I am ranked third right now in conference, are at 7:15 p.m. and we will have 1 day gap when we will be able to cheer to our teammates. And after that, we will have the competition on or finals on Saturday, and that will be at 6 p.m.
Obviously, it's been a really good year for Greyhound Track and Field. You've had a number of individuals that have hit provisional marks. How close are you to a provisional?
I made a provisional mark on my first race, and right now I'm ranked 21st in the country, and top 22 is going to nationals, so I hope it will stay the same. And I ran that race back at a home meet when we had the home meet. I ran 14:14, and that's from now on that my best result of this season. And I'm pretty confident because we will have again 2 races back home that I will be able to improve that result and improve my ranking to be able to participate in nationals. Because on the winter season I had a little bit of bad luck because I was 0.02 seconds slower than last person who made the nationals on 60 hurdles, and I'm pretty confident that this time I have to make it because I thought to myself that this is the first and last time that I'm not going to nationals.
We have about a minute left in this segment, so let's talk a little about you, the student. What are you majoring in?
My major is health and wellness, and my minor will be in track and field coaching.
So do you hope to coach here in the United States, or do you want to go back to Serbia?
I still don't know, but I think that I would like to teach my kids first, because I didn't have a lot of people to teach me at the beginning how I should imply the things at our competition, practice, and everything. So I would like to make my kids to. I don't want to make them. I would like to have a kids which will be really good athletes and with whom I will be able to make better results than I made with myself. And I think that I can be coach because I see a lot of small details.
Well, Strahinja, congratulations on the success you've had so far, and best of luck at the conference championships.
Thank you so much.
All right, well, that will wrap up the first interview segment here on SportsLook. So we'll clear this out and we'll talk a little esports right now. Welcome back to SportsLook, and we bring to the set of SportsLook two guys associated with esports here at the university. We've got Juan Carbajal, we've got Josef Garcia, and guys, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Juan, we'll start out with you. Where are you from originally, and how did you get involved in esports?
So I'm originally from Portales, New Mexico, and I actually joined esports at the Portales High School when the first year it started. Coach Garcia was actually the coach there at the time. So from there, I believe I was a senior on the Rocket League team, and we got second place my senior year there. And once I found out that they were having an esports team here, I decided to join up because I had so much fun with it when I was in high school.
Well, speaking of, we have congratulations going out to Portales High School. They were the 4A champs in esports this year.
Yes, so they were.
So, do you know any of the kids that are on the squad this year?
I don't believe so. Most of the people that I knew, I think, graduated. Maybe I know one or two of the guys on the Rocket League team, but that's about it.
Well, Joseph, we've had you on before, and we found out that you were also a graduate of Portales High School. You also got involved. So, did you see that someday Portales would be good enough to win a state championship, or did
Oh,
the
yeah.
results surprise you?
Yeah, definitely. And the years that I've been there, we had won some titles, and we were always kind of like a little short for overall first. But this year, we had the results, and we kind of just were able to do it this year. So.
Well, Juan, let's talk specifics about you in your time here at Eastern. What games have you played as far as the esports team?
Oh, when I first joined, I wanted to continue playing Rocket League here, but I couldn't find any other players to join. So I just kind of ended up filling gaps in the teams that were were active. So I joined Valorant and I also joined Overwatch as a sub, but I still wanted to play Rocket League and Apex Legends, but I just couldn't find people to play with me. But Valorant, and I came to really like it. It grew on me, and now I'm really happy that we were able to take a win home this year.
So talk a little bit about the difference between Valorant and Rocket League.
Mm-hmm. So Rocket League, it's 3-on-3, 1-on-1, 2-on-2. It's like a soccer game, but you're just driving cars around. It's very intense, very mechanically proficient. You have to. It's very hard to explain because it's very complicated. You have. I never got to be very good, but I was still pretty decent at it. Valorant, it's a lot more communication and coordination with your team, where Rocket League does require coordination, but not as much as Valorant. Valorant, you do have to communicate a lot more with your team to make sure you are able to win round by round, game by game.
Well, Joseph, Juan already talked about the fact that this was a really good year for Eastern because you guys won a contest. What is it that's different about this year's squad from last year's squad?
I'd say this year we had some of the guys from last year, like Juan, be able to get that experience from last year. And they kind of started it off a little shaky last year. But then towards the end of the season, they were starting to grow and improve. And even though they didn't make the playoff last year, I can see that their improvement carried on to this year. And then we got some new guys that they were able to help really well and kind of bring them into the team. And that all those combined kind of just like ended up making a really great team.
In terms of the individuals that you were on the team with Valorant, how much interaction do you have away from the console, or is it pretty much you guys and gals just do your own thing, but you get together when you need to for the game?
Oh, honestly, we message all the time. Sometimes two of us are seniors, so we don't communicate as much with everybody else, but we do message all the time. We are always talking about how we can improve. We always send each other videos on like what we can do, some team strats, things of that sort, and we also like to hang out. Apart from that, it's the interaction between us I'd say is really good. Outside of the game, we've kind of just grown to be brothers almost.
That's cool. Well, Joseph, in a lot of sports at this time of the year, the coach selects an MVP, most improved. Got to put you on the spot here, and if you haven't already given it some thought, you can take a pass. But if you had to say there was an MVP on this year's squad and a most improved on this year's squad, who would those people be?
I mean, obviously I have a couple of different teams, so I could pull from I could select one. I have some in mind for each team. But if I were to say for the Valorant team from this instance, there was a student in Angel Garcia who he was a freshman that came in this year, and he started off this semester or the fall semester pretty much not playing the game to being on our winning roster, like just like completely improving and just like absorbing everything we were teaching him. So I would probably say him, considering where he started and where he ended now. And it's only this is his first year, so.
That's pretty impressive. Juan, what does it take to be a good gamer? I mean, there's technique, there's your mental approach, just your basic balance. What do you think is the most important attribute for a good gamer?
I would say, just like any other sport, it's practice. You have to practice this game. You have to practice. You have to practice Valorant. You have to practice Rocket League. You have to practice like Overwatch, another one of our games. You have to practice and you have to practice with your team, just like any other sport, to like to be in that competitive level against other teams. Because with us, we don't have very much most of us play at home or we gather at the UCC and play. But a lot of the other teams that we're playing have their own labs, have set times to play. And so for us to come out on top this year, practice whenever we could, practice together, practice at home. That's what it took.
Joseph, I ask you this question all the time, and I'll keep asking it as long as I get to host SportsLook. How much control do you have over the games that your kids are going to compete in, and how much of it is, okay, what do you want to play, and we'll go with that?
Yeah, so pretty much any kind of video game that is like can be played competitively. We at least in the college we can pretty much play it as long as we have a team for it. So as long as we have the students for it, then we can compete in it.
I know that back in the day when I first had you on, I think it was Smash Brothers that was the game. And did you have one of those teams this year?
So yeah, we had a Smash team, and we weren't really able to compete online, but we did go to the NMS Invitational, and one of our players took third out of 120 at that Invitational.
Wow.
So yeah, our Smash players are pretty good. And then, but yeah, that's it.
Who is that individual?
Matthew Garcia.
Okay, well, Garcia, obviously a good name to be associated with esports.
Yeah, he's my younger brother, so.
Oh, wow,
Yeah.
that is awesome. Wow. So how much of it is just innate on his part, and how much is it that Big Brother's been helping?
Well, he was at the high school, doing the esports, whenever I was coaching there. So I had him then, and then I have him now. So
that is totally cool. Well, Juan, if you had to talk to the young audience that's watching this program and say, this is where you can enter, this is a good game to get involved in esports, what's the beginner game?
That's a tough one. I'm not gonna lie. Not Valorant. I'm not gonna lie. I'd say Overwatch. Overwatch is a much easier game to play. It doesn't require to be so as technical, as skilled. You can. I don't know. To me, it's a lot easier to play. It's a lot easier to get a hand, more like to get a grip on. Maybe Call of Duty as well. Call of Duty, it spans back to the early 2000s. Everyone's very familiar with it. It's a very easy game to play. So I'd say either Overwatch or Call of Duty is a good start.
I was actually familiar with Call of Duty even when I first met Joseph, so that's a good choice. Looking at your team this year, we talked about the fact that Juan's a senior, Juan referenced another guy that is a senior. How many kids overall are you going to lose?
Oh, I think, well, some of them are graduating. I know others are just moving also and are just going to take the classes online. So off the top of my head, I'd say 4 or 5.
Mm-hmm.
Although I don't really know for sure until like the next semester. But
yeah, how many freshmen did you have this year?
I'd probably say 5 or 6.
Okay,
yeah.
So there's theoretically a good nucleus to come back if they come back to Eastern, which we all hope they do. So, Juan, let's talk. We've talked about you as being the competitor. Let's talk about you as being the student. What are you majoring in?
Digital film, sir.
Very good.
Yeah.
And is there a particular genre of digital film that you like the best?
I like to do videography. What really interests me is, I don't know if you ever like on Facebook or Instagram, any social media platform. There's always videos of people showing off their cars down the road, racing or something like that. That's really what I would like to start a business doing.
Wow.
So
Meld the Fast and Furious franchise with digital.
Yes, sir.
That's pretty cool.
it also goes back into I love cars. I bought a Camaro because I love Camaros. So I think it just melds together, honestly.
Well, Joseph, we got about 30 seconds here. Obviously, your kids did a great job this year. What's the one thing you hope to see moving forward?
I just hope to see our program grow, just bring more and more kids in, especially since the high school is growing more and more kids that are graduating want to keep doing esports. And I want Eastern to be a place that they can go to.
Well, that is a great answer. Guys, congratulations on the success that you've had so far. Juan, we wish you the best of luck, and hope you do end up, I'll have to start checking online a little bit more and see if I can pull up one of your videos.
Thank you, sir.
All right, well, that is going to wrap up the interview segment of Sports Look. So what we'll do is we'll clear this out, and I'll finish up with an overtime right now. Back at the beginning of the program, I talked about the fact that this is May the 1st. It is known as May Day. It has a significance in labor history, but it also is a term that implies that somebody is in distress. And that reminds me of one of the great nicknames out of sports history. If any of you ever watched the program Cheers, you know that Ted Danson played a main character on the program Cheers. He played Sam Malone, who in the story was a former Boston Red Sox relief pitcher, and his nickname, because he was called in when the Red Sox were in distress, his nickname was, you guessed it, Mayday. So for all of you who remember Cheers, think back fondly on that particular significance. Well, that will wrap up in overtime. That will wrap up our last episode of Sports Look for this semester. I would like to thank my guest tonight. We had Strahinja Radakovic. We also had Juan Carbajal and Josef Garcia. Doing double duty as a camera person and my floor director was Mr. Kyle. So for all those aforementioned people, this is Doc Elder saying, so long.